If you're tired of not making progress and you're ready to be the artist you know you're meant to be, you're in the right place. You're listening to the Singer's Path podcast. The Path, or Performing Artists Training Hub, will cover everything, including singing tips that actually work, advice from top industry professionals, and life-changing mindset shifts. Out with the starving artist and in with the thriving artist. I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, professional singer, actor, educator, and entrepreneur. I'm not afraid to speak the truth and stop the gatekeeping of quality information so you can actually become the artist you dream of being. So let's get on the path, shall we? Even though we're all on our own journeys, it always helps to have a guide. Hello, it's me, and hopefully in this punchier version of an episode, we're going to cover something that everybody wants to learn to be able to do. I taught a whole masterclass on this in the summertime called Belt Like a Baddie, which was going to teach you how to make your belt sound even better. And if you're listening to this and you're still like a beginner singer, a belt is basically that extra emotional gusto that's basically like controlled yelling, that you really belt that note out, you really hit it. But it's kind of this hard thing to define. It's not really like no one wants to be yelled at or screamed at. So it's a really hard thing to kind of massage and make sure that it's the vocal function of it is happening efficiently and isn't scaring your audience, right? So it's something that is used on purpose and selectively. And we're going to talk about the 6 key things. I think I wrote down 6 things. The 6 key things to keep in mind to make your belt like absolutely fabulous. And this is coming from years and years of training around belt and specifically through the lens of mixed belts. So, because let's be honest, we could all just like blow out and like chest belt kind of yell through like the first lower bottom part of our voice when we're in chest. Sure, like you can blast up chest to a certain point. Okay, good for you. But here's the problem. Most of the music nowadays is not written in that area. You have to go higher in your voice, meaning you have to learn to somehow get this quality of sound. It sounds chesty, this chest dominant way of singing, but your vocal folds technically have to thin. So how do we do that? What are some things that we keep in mind? How do we train this in? Well, I also have a full course called Advanced Mix that teaches you how to do that. But basically what I'm telling you is in this episode, we're not just going to focus on like kind of the basic shit of like, how do you belt 101? No, we're going to tell you as someone that maybe already knows how to belt, maybe owns Advanced Mix or is considering owning Advanced Mix. We're going to tell you some things that are common adjustments and things to kind of reevaluate and think about so that your belt goes to the next level and it feels even easier, but it still sounds just as powerful. But first, I want to let you know of something very, very special that's going on. So we're going to take a quick break to let you know what that is. Is that a beautiful painting I see on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel? No, it's not Leonardo da Vinci, and it's not Michelangelo. It's the Renaissance bundle. But Sarah, I thought you only bundled courses on Black Friday. Well, bitch, Christmas has come early. Until October 14th, you can get everything you need as a singer to master your voice. The Renaissance Bundle includes Discover, Pillars, and Advanced Mix. And when you bundle them all together, you get over $300 off. So make haste, Renaissance singer. Get everything you need to be the capable, knowledgeable, and professional singer that you know you are to truly master your art. Go to the link in the show notes or sarahbishopvocalstudio.com before October 14th to get this very special deal. And now I will stop talking to you in this very weird accent and we'll get back to the episode. All right, I know that is super extra, and God, girl, pick an accent. Who's to say what accent that was? It came and it went, and it, and I know it's actually so extra and insane. I've been having a blast with it, though. The Renaissance theme kills me. But I just want to let you know that that's happening as we're doing this, because in that bundle, you will have everything to actually functionally condition you to do do this over and over again and efficiently, right? We're just going to bring up some points that are covered within those programs, specifically Advanced Mix. But literally the Renaissance Bundle, it really does. It gives you every tool that you need, right? To really functionally condition yourself so that your body is able to do this and you're not just like, flying by the seat of your pants and hoping for the best, right? Like it's some quality shit that it doesn't just train you. It's not just warm up scales, right? This really helps you, individually understand how you need to put attention on your own voice and meet your own vocal needs, right? That's done through Discover. Pillars helps you balance. So that maintains that vocal longevity. It helps you get very familiar with your own voice. I know it says on the landing page, like, oh, it's like technique, like it is what technique is. But like sometimes people are like, I already have technique, but girl, I don't know that you have vocal balance. Vocal balance is the epitome of technique. And it's the best feeling in the world. It's like orgasmic. And I talk about it all the time. It's literally awesome. It makes you feel like you're fucking invincible and you could sing literally anything. And that's what Pillars does because it helps you understand what your vocal needs are. And then it gives you that through lesson plans and understanding of tools and what these tools actually do for singers. So you're not just in the dark trying to DIY it anymore because we all know that doesn't fucking work. Finally, in this bundle, Advanced Mix, it's insane. That's what we're going to kind of be covering today. These nuance of how to get your belt to be powerful in the chest dominant mix section. And part of Advanced Mix, there's also head dominant mix. So you can sing more of those classical styles, more of that heady singing. And then when you have all these tools, right, you can choose to sing however the fuck you want, right? Hence Renaissance, hence versatility, hence master, right? You can choose all of these colors and these palettes and these textures for the music that you want to record, that you want to use, making vocal choices, because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, giving you choice and freedom in your instrument. It's not about telling you how to sing a certain way so that it's perfect or it's like, no, we're trying to free your voice and give you more flexibility and choice, baby girl. That's what we're all about. Yeah, that's what we're all about. Yep, don't do that. Don't sing like that, Sarah. That's questionable. So let's get into these 6 key things that will literally take your belt to the next level. Some of them are concepts. And again, a lot of this is explored in even more detail in the course Advanced Mix, which you should get on the Renaissance Bundle. So the first thing is, so I kind of mentioned this like mixing, right? So we all know we can blast up chest, right? That's a belt, right? That kind of, hey, oh, right? That kind of push blast that's used with a lot of pressure underneath of the vocal folds and a very thick vocal fold shape. That can happen up to a certain point, but you're going to hit a threshold, right? And that's why I talk about pulling and weighty. When people go flat and they sound like they're yelling and screaming, part of the reason that is happening is because their vocal folds are too thick. Too thick. They're a thick girl. But if they thin out and they don't actually maintain a second part of the coordination, which is vocal fold closure, right? So there's 2 things in this mechanics that are happening at the same time when we stretch up on our voice, and we're doing it either from a balanced place or we're mixing in any way, really. Your vocal folds have to stretch out. That is non-negotiable. You will hit a ceiling. You have to give over to what's called the cricothyroid. It has to happen. So there's kind of this levy-pulley system of tugging on the vocal folds so that they're lengthening forward. That has to happen. That's what causes that head sound. But the second part that most people lose is that their vocal folds lose depth as they get higher. So they start with a clear sound, ha, but as they go higher, ha, ha, so that airy quality kind of happens and the vocal folds thin out too much, okay? That's what it means to lose depth, right? Your vocal folds aren't maintaining the closure that they need as you get higher. So one of the hacks to get your mix belt, specifically as you're getting higher in your voice, to sound better is to lean into full vocal fold closure. Like get those fucking flaps to come together in more depth. More of the fold is coming together, right? And again, you might be like, that's nice. I got to get my flaps together. But you're probably like, how the fuck do I do that? Well, again, that's what Advanced Mix will teach you how to do with like conscious exercises and lots of tools. And I think there's also another episode at the beginning that's all about resistance. Those tools will be the things that help you lean into that. So that's one of the hacks that is going to actually affect the acoustics and get your audience to be like, oh, fuck yeah, that sounds great, but it feels good to you. You have to maintain vocal fold closure. Another hack around that is once you're maintaining closure, even though your vocal folds are thinner and it might feel quote unquote heady, you can then open your mouth around that sound And that will inherently make it sound a little bit more exciting, a little bit more chesty because of the mouth shape. Now, that's fine and dandy. You probably heard about those hacks before. However, it's more than just do it, right? You have to condition it in, and you have to make sure the mechanism is working efficiently. And the best way to get success over this, again, would be to try to do something like that after you've already worked on balance so that you know how to control the sound and it's even and you're not going to lose that vocal fold closure as you go up, right? And then all you have to do is add a little cry and open your mouth a little bit, and then all of a sudden you have more of that belted sound. So if I was going to use a phrase from a song, I'm going to use a clip from a song that I'm auditioning with here soon. So instead of like just like a balanced mix, like you would have gotten to this point so that you can make this sound at all, okay? Let's hope the gods who shine above will show us the way. Right? That was not the right words, but that was just kind of a more neutral sound. I could do it even headier. Let's hope the gods above will shine as bright above. Oh my God, I don't know the words. And show the way. Right? That's even headier. Okay? But how the song is written is that it's chest dominant. So I have these tools. I'm able to do that top note in a more balanced way and show the way, right? It doesn't sound belted. It sounds mixy. So how do I get it to sound belted? Well, I'm going to think of leaning into that resistance. I'm going to open the vowel just a little bit and think almost over the sound. And that's going to give it more of that belt quality. And I really hope I don't blast out my levels here. Let's hope the gods above will shine the light and show the way. So it was a little extra, a little dramatic, but I really just opened the vowel. It was still from a mixy place though. And I'm going to have a lot more nuance to be able to control how I want that to happen. I obviously spun it. So maybe I would want to straight tone it, then show the way. And that would be a little bit more, again, a little bit more contemporary versus spinning it right away. So that's a pretty basic example of the thing that's going to take your mixed belt to the next level is you have to maintain chord closure. I didn't go, show the way. I didn't let go of that, right? Because if I did, it would probably sound too heady too. Show the way, right? Rounding out into it too would obviously not make it sound appropriate for the style. Okay, so we're maintaining chord closure or leaning into that resistance, and we're also modifying the vowel to open it just a little bit, but over top of a mix configuration. Okay, so that's a lot of information, but that is a major element that's going to make your belt sound absolutely lit. The next concept I'm going to talk about is the concept of closing down the back and for an open belt versus a closed belt. Okay. And it's going to be a little hard to show you this on a podcast form. But if you imagine I take my hand and I have like a Pac-Man hand, I'm like making the like kind of obnoxious like talkie sound with my hand. Okay. And I put my wrist towards the like kind of back midway point of my head. I talk about this in advanced mix, by the way, so you would actually see me do it. But if I was imagining there being like a megaphone coming out where like the megaphone meets in like a triangle position in the back, that is what we want for a more open belt position. We don't want both sides. You don't want your throat to be that open, right? Because what that does is that kind of creates like an open shape, which ends up blasting too much air. There's no narrowing that happens internally. And that's when opera singers tend to blow out because they are so used to keeping everything so open versus that little contraction of the pharynx that needs to happen for a healthy belted sound, especially mixed belted sound. So that's kind of this idea, this megaphone shape is one idea of how to get a belt to sound exciting. There's also another option of a belt, which is a closed belt, which really means therefore more of those O's, those darker vowels, where the mouth is actually more narrow and it would be like a backwards megaphone. So your mouth, or the shape rather, the idea or the energy even, is a little bit more closed down in the front, but open in the back. So I'll try to give a really quick example of that vocally here to maybe try to demonstrate the difference in those sounds. Let's see if I can do it successfully. Okay, another song from the show I'm auditioning for. If I could change, if I could grow. That still has a cry in it. It's definitely mixy, but if I was to amp up that just a little bit, that would be kind of an example that O would be like a covered belt. If I could grow, if I could grow. Right now, I could open it even more and think almost like I'm going to say, if I could ah. And I can also think of this sound instead of coming from the bottom, which is going to make it really heavy. I can think of almost landing that note over the top as if, again, the ah shape that I'm going to think about as I'm singing through this is going to help with that. But I'm just going to think in my head if I could gra, even though I'm going to say grow. And that will create kind of that close down in the back, open shape, more of that megaphone shape. If I could change, if I could grow. And then that creates that call effect that is a little bit more of that stereotypical belt, right? So you can do either one of those, but what you don't want to do is, if I could grow. That's way too open in the front and in the back, and that's going to tire you out a fuck ton. So that's a hot tip. Pick either an open belt or a covered belt, right? So megaphone shape is open belt. Covered belt is more closed down in the front, open in the back, has a little bit of a darker quality. Both are exciting and both have their place. Like they're totally different colors. That brings me to what will make your belt even fiercer is when you use it selectively. It's basically a major dynamic. It's like FF, fortissimo. Anytime you use fortissimo, you better not be fortissimo the whole time in your song, because then it's going to lose all of its dynamic. The softer your softs are and the more selective you are about your dynamics and your volume, the more effective your belt is going to be. And you're also not going to scare your audience by just yelling at them all the time. I would say belt, a true sustained belt, maybe choose 2 to 3 times max in a song. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it really needs to be earned. It needs to be earned, which brings me to my next thing that's going to make your belt even fiercer, which is the belt has to open on top of an already developed mix, right? You have to be blending the voice, hopefully in a chest dominant way. Again, advanced mix will teach you to do that. And if you get in the Renaissance bundle, you get almost $350 off of all that shit. But I digress. But you have to drill in balance and be living in a mixy place most of the time. Then you can open over to the belt. And that mixed with, okay, I'm not going to blast out dynamics all the time. That's going to make it so much more exciting for your audience. You're not going to scare them and make them be like, huh, why is she yelling at me? That's really important. It's a very powerful emotional tool, but it has to be appropriate for what is the story that you're telling in your song. If you're just screaming at people and it doesn't make any sense because you want to sound fierce and belt, well, that's a little selfish on your part. That's not really serving the story that is your whole job to tell, if that makes sense. I don't know if this is number 4, number 5. I guess it's number 5. Yeah, maybe it's even number 6. I don't know. But one of the best ways, again, it kind of ties into all these other things that I was talking about. It kind of brings into that mixy situation, like opening the belt on top of an already well-established mix. Bring your volume back overall. Like this is like even when you're belting and everything else, like bring everything down in effort and in volume a little bit. And you as the singer will have a better time. Now, again, this note kind of has to go to people that tend to blast out and over belt things. If you're having a hard time belt, then don't listen to that. You probably need to amp up your effort, right? And if you need to amp up your effort or you're having a hard time belting, even if you're blasting out, there is one more thing. This final thing will be the like final gold mine key that I swear to God is probably what's tripping you up so much to begin with. And that is a lot of the struggles people have with belt actually lie in the key of struggling with the top of their chest voice. And this is mostly a higher voice problem for like sopranos and altos, tenors and baritones, not so much. But especially if you studied classically, I really need you to look at the notes of like E4 to like A flat 4. That is, I almost can guarantee why you're having such a hard time belting is because, especially classically, you've probably trained down quite a bit of head voice because they treat that as the passaggio. So they bring head down that far. But the problem is with the chest dominant style, like belting, you need to hold on to chest for longer than you might be used to, right? And you need to do so without having to press or get super weighty or grab and like do the absolute most and get really loud through that region. Like you need to like and in a way that's stable and easy for your voice, get through those notes in like a grounded way so that you have something to plug into to stretch into the belt. If you are letting go prematurely of chest voice on those notes, then what ends up happening is you either blow a lot of air and scream and other muscles come in and you just blast your vocal folds and they just flap together. I've made so many TikToks about that and people usually love them, but you just like have little flaps in the wind there because basically you're overcompensating for your lack of connection to the bottom. Right. And another thing that can happen is your mix is just going to be too fucking light. It's not going to be clear. It sounds heady and weak. And most of the time that's because your vocal folds, remember that resistance thing, right? You need to maintain chord depth, even more chord depth as you go up higher to maintain the acoustical quality and effect of belt. Well, you definitely need to hang on there in that first passage and below the first passage, right? Below that A4 region, you need to maintain chord closure and you need to make sure you're still kind of speaking down there. That is also going to make the sound up top like way ringier and way more strong. And this also goes to show, I guess this is like a bonus tip. The belt note itself is probably not the actual problem. If you're looking at all these hard songs that you're trying to sing and you're like, wow, this one note at the end is definitely the problem. No, it's probably everything you did leading up to that note, which is not setting you up for success to just let her rip on the big note. Okay. And most of the time it's because it's either walking through, again, these top of chest notes, or it's because you haven't stabilized and balanced your voice and like it's a mean song and they're just having you start in the middle of one of your breaks. And that's why it's not stable. But most of the time, like 98% of the time, it's because you're not connected to the top of chest very well. It's not thick enough and the vocal folds aren't, they don't have enough closure. Okay. So if I just blew your mind or you don't know WTF I'm talking about, A, watch more of my content. B, go back to the thickness and resistance podcast episodes that are early on here. C, check the fuck out of that Renaissance bundle, y'all. I mean, if you're listening to this way later, it's not October, it's after October 14th, 2025. I sorry. I don't know when the next bundle I'm doing is. However, that's why you need to be on that, the Singer's Path digest, this email digest. What did I call it? The Singer's Secret Digest. That's what it's called. It's an email list, but I let you know about all these things when they're happening and you need to get your ass on there. Like, I'm not about offering you shit. Okay. I am deeply passionate about you attaining good information. And if you are noticing, hey, my belt feels like shit and it's really hard. Yeah, you might need advanced mix and it would serve you even better if you had pillars too, because then you have both of them. And that's exactly what this bundle is. It gives you everything you need. So if you're tired of having this problem, and I gave you some answers here, I hope you apply them. And you're probably going to actually need exercises to do that. So check the link in the bio. I hope you're listening to this before October 14, 2025. If you're not, I'm sorry. Hopefully something else is going on. But again, advanced mix particularly will help you do chest dominant mix, but pillars gets you ready to do that. This is a short, punchy one today, but I just really wanted to bang out that information. Sometimes I get on my tangents and I'm sorry guys, I'm trying. I just talk too fucking much. Okay. I'm sorry. I sorry again. But when I'm like repeating myself over and over again. So I'm trying to be mindful of that in this singular episode and I cannot guarantee it will happen again. But anyway, try to getting you good stuff. Look, I just repeated myself again. But with that, I really hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope this was helpful. Send this to a friend. If you really like this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. A written review is even better. And if you take a screenshot of that and you send it to me at the email singerspath@gmail.com, I will enter you into a pool to win a free lesson. I hope to draw from that pool here after this Renaissance sale is done and grant a winner. I'll probably draw it on TikTok Live or maybe on the podcast. I'll do it and draw them live. And because I don't offer private lessons publicly, this is kind of one of your only shots of getting a private lesson with me at this point. So it never hurts. And especially if you love it, why not? And I also love connecting with you guys. Love hearing from you. Just make sure if you leave that written review, you screenshot it and send it to me because otherwise I'm not going to know it was you. Okay. And yeah, and if you don't like the podcast, please just turn it off and don't be mean, because that's mean. And we don't need to be mean. Be the average person and just be like, I don't want to listen to that. Thank you so much. Anyway, all that being said, I hope you're doing good. I hope these tips help you. Maybe they start to answer some questions, or at least get you to start thinking about things in a different way. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. This helps me get this information out to more artists all over the world. Let's work together to spread the joys of music. Until next time, I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, signing off from the Singer's Path podcast. Thanks for listening.